Elton John is one of the biggest selling musical acts of all time. He had 7 consecutive #1 albums in the US. Billboard actually ranked him as the most successful male solo artist and third most successful artist overall, behind the Beatles and Madonna. A biopic about John began development in the early 2000s, but languished in development hell for a while. Supposedly, the reason is that the studios wanted a PG-13 film, while John wanted it to be R-rated, feeling that he didn't live a PG-13 life. Paramount ultimately picked up the film rights and Dexter Fletcher was brought on to direct. If you've seen my review of Bohemian Rhapsody, you'll remember that Fletcher was the guy brought in to finish that movie when Bryan Singer was fired. Starring Taron Egerton as John, the film takes the conventions of a music biopic and tells John's story through the lens of an epic musical. That one decision kind of makes the movie. It's such an obvious idea, and yet no one had thought of it before. Of course, the best way to tell the story of a musician is through their music, and John is the perfect artist for it. John's showmanship and music are perfect for a big fantasy musical. It's a seamless transition. This is great music, and the arrangements done for the film are excellent, some of which I actually prefer to their original versions. Edgerton's voice is wonderful, sounding close enough to John without doing an obvious imitation. What's important is the emotion, which Edgerton provides with a great performance. Also, musicals are just fun. They're like action movies in a lot of ways. There are these big set pieces that are really enjoyable. And in the wrong hands, these sequences can be pointless and not have much bearing on the story. But in the right hands, they can move the story forward in cool and unique ways. It helps that the musical numbers are so well done. The directing, editing, all of it. They're the best parts of the movie. Saturday Night's Alright for Fightin' and Honky Cat are the two particular highlights for me. The former has really stayed with me since I saw this in theaters. A review of The Dirt pointed out that you could learn more about Motley Crue just by listening to the Dr. Feelgood album. Using John's songs in this way allows a lot more insight. I learned a lot more about John in just the I Want Love number than any member of Motley Crue through the entirety of The Dirt. Unlike The Dirt, Rocketman is here to tell a story. The base of the movie is I Want Love. From an early age, John had a hole inside that he spends the entire movie trying to fill, with John Reed, success and fame, shopping, drugs, sex, heterosexual marriage. The film ends when John learns to love and accept himself. It's an effective and emotionally resonant story. The scenes actually lead into each other. There's an escalation of events. It feels weird to have to compliment these basic things, but Bohemian Rhapsody and The Dirt failed to do these, so it was refreshing when this turned out to be, a movie and competent. Rocketman does hit the typical music biopic beats. Part of that is that a lot of these rock stars just lived similar lives. But as I talked about in the Bohemian Rhapsody review, there is a formula to these movies, and Rocketman does fit into that formula. But the presentation is so strong that doesn't really bother me. I think musicals work best when they're simple. What works is making you feel something. Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom of the Opera doesn't work because of a complex, intricate plot. It works because the emotion of the story represented in catchy songs strikes a chord with people. Rocketman made me feel things. Tone is also important because Rocketman is less than factually accurate. But the musical format and magical realism allows a suspension of disbelief. Of course, the movie where John literally flies like a rocket isn't factually accurate. The decisions made that alter history aren't done out of pettiness or ego. They're done because it made the movie better. And that is easier to go along with because the movie is so dreamlike. Made on a budget of $40 million, the film grossed $195.2 million worldwide and received generally positive reviews. It won an Oscar for Best Original Song, but received no other nominations. Which is such bull. How does Bohemian Rhapsody win Best Editing, and Rocketman can't even get nominated? And how on earth did Edgerton and Jamie Bell not get acting nominations? Insanity. The Oscars are ridiculous. I love this movie. It was one of the best movies to come out that year. It obviously helps that John and Bernie Taupin have written some of my favorite songs. Rocketman, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, and the musical presentations of this material are phenomenal. It's a solid story told well with a lot of emotional resonance. The performances are great, and the movie connected with me in a big way. The movie was a hit and did make a decent amount of money, but I do wish it had found a greater success because I think it deserved it.